There's something ironic about a guy saying that the left can't take criticism, and then his immediate next video is a response to the criticism from this video calling his critics mentally ill. There's something very funny about that. You just can't make this shit up.
But you literally just did. You literally just made all of that up.
As much as I'd love to indulge you with your Efap audition tape, I already addressed the idea of objective criticism in media in another video.
At the time, I had no idea who he was talking about here, but he seems to be obsessed over these people.
The problem is you don't even understand why you're wrong. That's the tough part here. That's the sad part here.
He is such a smug yapper, don't you just love him?
Shut the fuck up. Shutting the fuck up is a free action that can spare you from possibly shoving the entire boot that you're licking down your throat.
Yep, that's who we're going to be dealing with today. Editor's note, I gotta include this. This is too funny not to mention. Anthony made a hilarious community post where he tried to preemptively debunk the things he thought I was gonna say in this video. He thought this video was gonna be me accusing him of getting a channel deleted for criticizing him. Spoiler alert, I wasn't going to accuse him, so I didn't have to change my video at all. I quote,
I could dismiss this as a baseless accusation, but I want to go one step further and completely ruin his response to me days before it drops, providing definitive proof this accusation is baseless. I hope that didn't ruin your month's work, as it was almost done, buddy.
This attempt he made to preemptively debunk my video was a disaster. His post didn't send me back whatsoever, like he was originally hoping, address any of the claims I make against him in this video. And worst of all, he leaked his YouTube email address to the public for literally nothing because what he calls quote-unquote definitive proof didn't prove anything, but more about that near the end of the video. It's just too comical not to bring up. That's the type of guy we're going to be talking about in this video, and I hope you enjoy it. Oh boy, so a few weeks ago, Anthony Gramuglia made a video on me called, No, Left-Wing Art is Not Mentally Ill. A response to Remnant 777, which is really funny because here he is to debunk the narrative that the left can't take criticism and that they aren't mentally ill. And to prove the left's mental stability, he hired a thumbnail artist to draw himself getting ready to stab me, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't know whose point he's trying to prove with that one. Mind you, what's even more funny is that a sizable amount of his own audience doesn't even disagree with the notion that left-wing art is mentally ill. They're just upset if you call it a bad thing. I swear, if I made a video called Left-Wing Art is Mentally Ill, and here's why it's a good thing, they wouldn't even be mad at me. But the worst part about this whole video is Anthony doesn't even address what I say in the video. Instead, he decided to be one of the biggest lying snakes I've ever encountered, which is a huge claim for me to make. Not only am I stating that he's misrepresenting me, but I'm claiming that he's intentionally lying about me, which requires evidence. It requires me to demonstrate that's the case. And ironically, most of this video isn't even me exposing Anthony. No, it's Anthony from a year ago exposing his current self. Everything his entire channel is built upon, the behavior he criticizes and calls grifting, is exactly what he did to me. Verbatim. Anthony cannot live up to his own standards he sets for other individuals. So in essence, this video largely isn't even me responding to his arguments. After all, it's kind of challenging to make a defense for things you didn't even say. So with those parts of the video, it's simply me clarifying my own position on the matter, while exposing his lies and manipulative tactics he employs throughout the entire video. It's actually very fascinating, believe it or not, because at the end of the day, if Anthony lived up to his own standards, he would have to call himself out as a grifter, as a terrible media critic, and according to himself, somebody that shouldn't be taken seriously at all. It's that bad. And to demonstrate everything I'm saying here, I'm going to show footage of him constantly contradicting himself throughout the course of his video and his entire channel. By the way, Anthony, if you're watching this, if you claim I'm taking anything you say out of context or misrepresenting it, prove it. I've seen videos of you criticizing other people and claiming that they're misrepresenting you, leaving out context or twisting things, but then you openly refuse to show any evidence for your claims against them.
It's funny how when you take ideas out of context, there's more to it than that. It's funny how when you only include about 5 seconds of a clip, you leave out some key details. Why did you cut the clip that way, by the way, dude? Why didn't you show a little ahead of it? A little after it? What happens if you show a little bit more of the clip? Should I? I don't want to because I don't want to look at my face in that shot, but I digress.
He did this to see animus many times. Just claiming somebody took something out of context, misrepresented you, or lied about you doesn't work here. You have to prove it. And that's what I'm going to do with you. But without a further ado, let's begin.
What is good art? Expressive, perhaps? Emotionally resonant? Something powerful that sticks with you. But is good art merely the style, the technique you incorporate? Or is it something deeper? Something that enriches the soul? And can you look at something and go, yeah, that art kind of sucks. That art looks unfinished, but they can do this to improve. Is there such a thing as objectively good art? Well, if YouTube's to be believed, then hell yeah there is. And if you don't follow the guidelines, your art is mentally ill. Something I'm sure is just a euphemism for wanting to say the certain gamer word that's become popular online. The subject of today's discussion is YouTube video essayist Remnant777 and his video, Why Left-Wing Art Looks So Mentally Ill, as well as his response to some of his critics in regards to this video. The core of this thesis is in the title. Remnant777 believes that leftist art is demonstrably mentally ill.
Where do I begin? This guy who gets offended and thinks the word retard is a slur is going to debunk the idea that the left is too sensitive to take real criticism. He thinks I'm trying to subtly hint at the idea that left-wing art is actually retarded. Buddy, I said what I actually meant in the video. I think left-wing art looks mentally ill. If I thought it looked retarded, I would just say it. It ain't that deep. You're seeing patterns and noise, Anthony. You're overanalyzing these things. You're hearing words that were never spoken. You know, it reminds me of a clip from Anthony from when he was criticizing what other people had to say.
She boils things down to a level that's overly simplistic when they should be complex, and overanalyzes simple ideas when they're simple.
Anthony's literally doing the "why are the curtains blue" meme. I'll tell you right now as the writer, Anthony, the curtains are just blue. There's nothing deeper to it. Anthony does have really good criticisms at times. It just needs to be redirected at himself, though. And this is a reoccurring theme with Anthony. He is very selective when it comes to what he actually hears and what he decides to ignore throughout the entire video. Because with Anthony, everything that I do say and don't say will be used against me, even if you deny the things he says. How do I know this to be true? Because I even flat out denied what he said. Because look at this clip. He proceeds to play a few seconds of my video and then cuts me off so he can respond to it before I could finish my thought. The exact same thing he accuses Animus of doing. Why is it that left-wing art looks, frankly, for lack of a better term,
mentally ill?
It's like these drawings come out of a factory. They all look the same. They all have the exact same themes, the same color designs, the same misshapen faces, the uncanny look to it. Why is this?
Now, you're all smart enough to realize the irony of a man saying that all leftist art looks like it's made in a factory when he is in fact using AI art to communicate the factory itself. It seems kind of ironic that this guy is critiquing art for being the same when, as we'll see later on, he encourages all artists to draw from the same set of techniques and skills that he believes are the height of aesthetic pleasure.
I said in that clip, these drawings, they all look the same. Which drawings exactly? The ones I was showing on screen. Granted, in that isolated clip that you specifically cut out, people can easily walk away with the notion that I'm generalizing all left-wing art. The problem is, however, Anthony, this is a fully fledged written out video essay and you knew everything I had to say before you even posted the video. And you knew I do not believe that all left-wing art looks like it came from a factory. You purposely cut and misrepresented that point, especially given the facts that I specify my point many times throughout the entire video. In fact, mere seconds after you purposely paused it, I say this. But before we dive in, I want to clarify. I'm not saying all left-wing art is weird or ugly or mentally ill-looking. No, frankly, the majority of art is dominated by the left. Remember, it's fine when he takes me out of context, just not when other people do it to him.
It's funny how when you take ideas out of context, there's more to it than that. It's funny how when you only include about 5 seconds of a clip, you leave out some key details. Why did you cut the clip that way, by the way, dude? Why didn't you show a little ahead of it? A little after it? What happens if you show a little bit more of the clip?
He completely ignores it, even though I said in the exact same video that I don't believe that at all. It reminds me of that time when Aristotle was on Twitter, and he wrote, "It's amazing how much leftist discourse is just pretending to not understand things, thus making discourse impossible." I didn't even say that quote-unquote left-wing art is mentally ill. That wasn't the core premise of the video. We aren't even 1 minute into the video, and he's talking about things that have nothing to do with what I'm saying. He's purposely misrepresenting the core arguments of my video. The video is titled, "Why Left-Wing Art Looks Mentally Ill." What does Anthony say?
The core of this thesis is in the title. Remnant777 believes that leftist art is demonstrably mentally ill.
Anthony, can you not read? Forget media literacy, you're struggling with basic English comprehension. On a serious note, why did Anthony do this? Well, according to Anthony, he's already told us why when he talked about dishonest and bad faith media criticism.
Bad media criticism's ultimate goal, though, is to supplant the original media in your mind. And the way they do that is by sometimes just making shit up.
Before I even had the chance to say anything in his video, he already intentionally replaced my core message of the video from why left-wing art looks mentally ill to making the claim that I'm saying left-wing art is mentally ill. Not only did he supplant the core premise of my video, but he exaggerated it to the point and said that I'm claiming all left-wing art is this way. He changed it from I'm talking about something I see within the left-wing art community, how and why I think left-wing art looks mentally ill, and changed my claim to I think all left-wing art is mentally ill, which is an absolute lie. I specified this many times in both videos that he looked at. He even intentionally left out the part of the video where I said I had a left-wing artist who helped me to drastically improve. In fact, one of the people who taught me, who was able to get my art to look better from this to this, was a leftist. She was a radical feminist, and she's way more skilled than me, at least if she still does art. I don't know if she does. But specifically in the video, I was trying to target and look at one specific type of style, which is this weird, uncanny type of style. I wasn't addressing modern art nor Soviet art, because one, Soviet art, it's beautiful. I love it. Modern art, everybody's talked about that. Why didn't you include that part into the video, Anthony? I guess it's because it doesn't fit the false narrative you're trying to push about me.
They'll either misrepresent scenes, omit key details to make their point land better, or in some cases, lie.
I didn't say the left as a whole isn't good at art, is mentally ill. I was talking about a specific problem and what it's causing that I see among the left. And you have no excuses for this. I even said that I love Soviet art. It's pure propaganda that inspires you and causes an emotional reaction inside of you. It's extremely compelling. I can separate the artist from the art. What other evidence do we have, though, to suggest that this is intentional manipulation and lying? He has gone on record to accuse other people of lying and misrepresenting the things he says, for getting the tiniest details wrong. Oh wait, did I say wrong there? I actually meant to say people quoting him word for word, and he simply misremembers what he said and then accuses them of lying. That's how bad this is. For example, Anthony one time made a video claiming that a lot of people only like Godzilla right now because it's doing better than Disney. And then when Animus quoted him on this, Anthony got upset and accused Animus of lying and misrepresenting his point, and claims that he wasn't talking about people in general, he was only talking about a specific group of them, being those within the culture war, despite the fact that he did not specify that.
He goes on to say people only talk about Godzilla in reference and comparison to Disney.
Okay, first off, huge misrepresentation of what I said. I said specific people involved in the culture war only reference Godzilla in reference to Disney, not people in general. So right there, you're already lying about my video and my argument.
Is that the only way they know how to talk about Godzilla is by drawing a connection to Disney. Because when it comes down to it, a lot of folks love Godzilla right now for one reason, especially in the culture war. It's doing better than Disney.
Unfortunately, Gramuglia seems to have this weird notion that post hoc rewordings expunge previous statements.
That's how strict he is with other people. Anthony will twist his own words after he says them and then claim you're lying about what he said. This is how nitpicky Anthony is to detail. And guess what? I can be extremely charitable to Anthony and still prove he's lying. Even if we granted the idea that you were unintentionally misrepresenting the core premise of my entire video in the first 30 seconds, you simply conflated the idea that left-wing art looks mentally ill with left-wing art is mentally ill. Let's grant you made that mistake by accident. You're still a liar, Anthony, because there's no excuse for you to say that I'm claiming all left-wing art is mentally ill, despite the fact that I said numerous times that I don't believe all left-wing art is a certain way. You have absolutely no excuses for this. You are a liar. You live and die by the standards you set for other people. If Anthony made a video on himself pulling this same shit, you would jump on the bus instantly to call yourself a lying grifter and say that you're not even worth engaging with.
Honest criticism requires honest thought, and that doesn't always culminate in a dopamine hit to the audience. What they want is that dopamine hit 30 seconds in to continue watching.
This makes perfect sense. Anthony exaggerated and misrepresented my entire premise of the video in the first 30 seconds to give that dopamine hit to the audience. It makes it much more engaging. By the way, he said all of this when he was talking about how people give bad faith criticism, what they do when they're grifting. Like, seriously, what am I supposed to do with this, Anthony? Do I have to explain this concept to you as if the temperature outside is higher than your own IQ? Just because something looks a certain way doesn't mean it is that thing. Holy shit. She's fat. Some might even say she looks like a whale.
Do you have a source for that claim that she's actually a whale? I'm not convinced by your argument that she's a massive aquatic creature. Do you even know if she has the capacity to swim? I think you're just assuming that without any evidence.
Bad media criticism isn't simply just disagreeing with someone. It's not saying something you don't agree with. It's when the criticism itself seems to fundamentally misinterpret the piece of media being discussed, even when it's supposedly going through a scene frame by frame by frame.
Anthony, according to himself, gave terrible media criticism. Certain types of left-wing art look mentally ill, but that doesn't mean I said it actually is. The core concept of what I even insinuated was mentally ill in the video wasn't even art itself, but possibly the mindset behind it. The idea that beauty is purely subjective and that people purposely ignore and forego any objective standards to beauty. If you take that literally and you genuinely believe it and apply it in the real world, that comes across as pretty mentally ill to me. And remember, I even said that most people who claim that this is true don't even believe it. To these people, they don't believe the things they say. Period. They don't. They view their compliments as an act of charity. I'm being charitable and kind and encouraging these people to feel good about themselves by calling them beautiful, to feel good about the things that they make. It's not honesty. And you know who else has said people lie to themselves? You, Anthony, and you can't give me shit. But if you're arguing that there's subjectivity to beauty, especially when it comes to people and who you're attracted to, who you love, of course there's a bit of subjectivity to it. Yeah, but there's still an underlying objective basis for beauty. And denial of that, in my opinion, breeds this mental illness I refer to in the video. I would bet that this mentality we have, it breeds mental illness. It breeds delusional people about how they view themselves, about how they view their arts, their work. If you don't see reality for what it is, if you think that these two images are just as beautiful or just as amazing, that's delusional and insane. That's mentally ill. And I try to make that abundantly clear in the video. I think I did a pretty good job at it. All of this points to a problem though, Anthony. You literally built your career on YouTube off the idea that you're qualified to teach people on what good media criticism looks like, and also how to spot grifters, how to spot bad faith actors. Yet you intentionally make such egregious elementary mistakes to misrepresent me. This means you are not qualified to talk about these things. After this point in everything that you've done on YouTube, you shouldn't be giving any media criticism at all. Just stop. This is not your niche. You have done a disgusting job here. But wait a minute. Let's look at some real criticism he has for me in the video.
Remnant doesn't show the names of the artists on screen, so we can't exactly go and check how old they were when they made the art.
Just did. That pride picture is by...
Today.
Thank you. That pride picture is by Mincha Draws. They don't list any mental illnesses. It was a person sharing it who did that. But this person lists their age and they are 20 years old. The post was made last year, so they were either 19 or 20 when they did it. Is that too young? If you reverse image search it, you can find the artists. You absolutely can go check. It's just not true that you can't check.
Yep, that was a clip from Harmful Opinions reacting to Anthony's video. He was able to confirm it wasn't a child's drawing in about 2 minutes, while he was live streaming, mind you.
I like the alternative thesis. Leftist art is all made by children. Leftist art is made by babies.
He even went a step further to say we can't even confirm if these drawings are made by the left.
It's also hard to say if the art in question that he showed is right-wing or not either, because we do not know who the artist is. For all we know, it could be art made to make fun of a left-wing person.
And what's even funnier is while he's saying that, he has a picture of Alec Gunter's banner, who, mind you, is a confirmed leftist who calls himself a communist and a socialist interchangeably. Whoever made this banner, we can't know for sure if they're left-wing or right-wing. For all we know, this person could be making fun of the left.
Are you with us? No.
Which, to be fair, is a very interesting argument. For all we know, Alec Gunter could be a psyop by the government to create some more left-wing locales. But on a serious note, he acts as if this isn't something I already addressed in the video. He brings this up repeatedly, saying we don't know if these people are left-wing, we don't know how old these people are, and he waits all the way till this point of the video to even show that I did address it or what my response to that was. He acts as if this is an argument that I never addressed throughout my entire video. This is just some glaring hole I left unaddressed, even though he knew it wasn't. I even gave a verifiable example of this. He just purposely waits until he's like 30 minutes into the video to show what I said. When most of his audience has already dropped off, they won't even hear this. It's like many manipulative journalists who rely on you skimming the headlines of an article and just accepting the implied premise without reading it. Anthony operates in a similar fashion. Even when I gave verifiable evidence that it's not a kid who drew this, I gave an example being Alec Gunter's banner, which addresses his concerns about age, and what does he say? Did he acknowledge that I addressed this at all? No, instead, he goes on this like really weird, edgy anime rant, as if he was a shitty voice dub over an anime. I mean, look at this timestamp. Remnant777 names one artist he referenced and looks like a fool. What?
Oh, buddy. Oh, you fucked up in a way you don't really know. So I actually know Alec Gunter, actually. We've talked a few times. Alex started as a right-wing content creator who shifted left over time. So if he spent more of his life right-wing, but then shifted left-wing, what do you think that means? He came from the same place your artists came from. It's funny how that works out, isn't it? Also, just because it's his banner doesn't mean he drew it, or for that matter, is an artist at all. You compared professional art to amateur art and thought we wouldn't notice? In fact, amateur art by someone who was raised in a right-wing situation, was right-wing for a very long time, and thus should have developed the same skills you argue is inherent in right-wing art. But guess what? None of that even matters, because Alec didn't do the thumbnail. I know this because I fucking asked him.
It's the only way to see if it's real. Or fake!
He's hidden a piece of the notebook!
That clip is identical to that anime kid from Omegle.
And there we go. The obvious answer that I have known. You've proven me right. Look at you. Thinking you have all the power in the world, thinking you could trick me. I've fallen for your illusion. How disappointing. So, you're gonna longingly gaze at me.
Bruh, are they not the same person? Either way, we can see why the video is so long despite lacking any real substance. I mean, according to himself at the end, his entire weird weeaboo rant didn't even matter. This entire video of his is literally him fighting a fake argument with himself in a shower, and he turned that into a video essay. Anyways, I'm not going to waste your time like he did. The gist of what he says is that it was made by Alec Gunter's mod, and therefore I'm debunked. What's also interesting is that I literally addressed this right before he went on that whole weird edgy anime rant. I literally said, he's a Marxist and by no means is a child. Unless he has children make his banners. He's very bad at art, but he's certainly not a child. Which is me acknowledging that it could have been made by somebody else who wasn't Alec Gunter, maybe one of his mods. But again, Anthony never pays attention when it matters most. Because if he did, he would know that Alec Gunter's mods aren't minors, which confirms the whole point of what I was getting to. An adult made this banner for somebody he knows is a radical communist. This was his profile picture not long ago. Alec Gunter in this drawing has a trans pride flag. This was when he was very left-wing. Use your head. Do you think that this banner was made when he was a conservative, or the person who made it is a conservative? There is no doubt to what political affiliation and what age group this person is. And here's the thing with Anthony. People like him constantly ask for citations for things he knows is true. He's simply trying to waste your time. This is a leftist tactic. Constantly ask for citations and sources that are self-evident and true. For example, the banner. How do we know the person who made this was left-wing? Well, if you're genuinely this retarded, Anthony, and you need more evidence for something that's so obviously true, you could have just used the Wayback Machine, and you could have seen that before he had this banner, he was still a leftist variety content creator. Meaning, when he got this banner and it was made for him, it was made specifically in mind for a person that they knew was a leftist, and they were a big fan of this leftist content creator. Yet you never address any of that. You conveniently ignore it, because that wouldn't be good for your arguments. So to summarize, you wasted our whole time with that edgy, weird shower debate monologue that didn't even rebuttal what I was initially addressing. Yet instead of acknowledging how any of this addresses your previous point about age, you shifted the goalpost. You swapped the goalpost from, we don't know what their age is and that's a problem, to, we don't know if these are art students. And to say these things about art students makes me a big meanie bully, plus something about bad media criticism. Yet ironically, mere minutes later, he goes out of his way to critique one of the most infamous art students of all time.
Here's a picture of a building's side, right? You see that stair leading up, door, all that? Everything is misaligned. The entire house makes no sense. Who is this stupid artist who drew this? Oh, that's my point. Right.
He was a student, Anthony. He was a student. I can't believe he did the Hitler so fucking dirty. We never know how good Hitler could have gotten at art. Alright, he was disadvantaged by the system.
What's funny is right after he says, what if they're art students? He instantly turns around to nitpick and criticize one of the most infamous art students of all time. He has no consistency. He has no standards he lives by. Everything that leads him is simply his political bias and emotion. He will say anything to try to get a dunk in if he disagrees with you, even if it means contradicting himself mere minutes later. Anthony really embodies the essence of the edgy, smug Redditor who's incredibly pretentious while being wrong at the same time. And he does all of this while LARPing about good faith behavior, good faith criticism. Yet he turns around and does this. I mean, one time I was in a chat room, somebody posted their picture, their art, and I pointed out the things that I liked, and then I pointed out the things that they could have done better on. And then everybody attacked me, by the way, they were left-wing, and said that I was wrong for pointing out what they could have done better, which is delusional. You might as well just tell everybody, hey, only compliment me. Imagine how delusional you would sound if you said that in any other context.
You see, even assuming this actually happened and isn't made up,
not only does he not believe the drawings are left-wing, but he calls into question my own personal stories and interactions with individuals. My story doesn't have the stamp of approval from Snoops. Anthony, you're full of shit. I could literally turn this right back around at you. After all, Anthony, how the hell do I know you even wrote your own script for this video? How do I know you didn't just pay some poor Pakistani $2.50 to write everything in this video, and now you're just reading off a script that he wrote for you? I need evidence, Anthony. Give me the evidence. Show me a recording of yourself under candlelight writing the entire script for this video. If you don't have that, I just can't believe that any of the videos you've posted on your channel were made by you. I'm just not convinced by the lack of evidence you provide. Like, what are we doing, Anthony? Seriously, what the f*** are you doing? So what I mean by when there's a mentally ill look is to say that these people are so delusional that they can't tell reality from their drawings.
How do you know that? How do you know that? I'm just asking you, because you seem to be saying a lot about intentionality here, but you haven't actually showed what the artists are saying.
Maybe the artist wanted Sasuke to look retarded. To be fair, it's possible. However, even if this particular artist was making a derp Sasuke on purpose, I can show you 100 million examples of someone failing. So it doesn't matter.
But since we're on this topic, I'll explain why I didn't cite who made the drawings. Not that it would even matter to Anthony, because again, he contradicts himself even with this point. He puts me in the position to say I'm damned if I do cite people, and I'm damned if I don't. For example, me simply responding to comments in a video is enough evidence for him to claim I'm putting people on blast to be named and shamed according to him.
Buddy, let me explain something to you. You named and shamed your critics, but you refused to name the artists you're criticizing. Do you see the problem here? You're willing to put your critics on blast on your massively large channel, those who have no platform, and yet you're afraid to name the artists so that no one in your video can just look up the artist to see if they've improved or how old they are. You're effectively targeting your critics with your channel's platform, yet you're refusing to allow the artists to speak for themselves by demonstrating improvement. There's something ironic about a guy saying that the left can't take criticism, and then his immediate next video is a response to the criticism from this video calling his critics mentally ill.
I'm sorry, but that really gives the impression that the people I'm responding to in my video, he's claiming I'm calling them mentally ill. He's saying that I was attacking them, and I was angry with them. Whereas if you watch the video, you'll know that I was nothing but polite and kind to these people 95% of the video. Even in the clip that he showed from the video, I was nothing but kind and polite to the person. But that was one point I was making in the video. But this person is very kind and courteous. You can read the whole comment here. Very kind person. He says I'm naming and shaming and putting these people on blast, not because it happened, but simply to keep his audience engaged.
What they want is that dopamine hit 30 seconds in to continue watching. They'll either misrepresent scenes, omit key details to make their point land better, or in some cases, lie.
He misrepresented my entire video, omitted the fact that I was kind with practically everybody in the video except for maybe one person, and he even lied and said I was calling my critics mentally ill, which is not the case whatsoever, because guess what, Anthony? You can disagree with me on art, and I still wouldn't call you mentally ill. And the reason why he did this is because when you're making a whole video about a nothing burger, you have to make things up to constantly keep people's attention. That's what he does. And let's hone in on what he did here. You effectively proved that you believe me simply responding to comments is shaming them and putting them on blast. Now, with that in mind, let's go back to the original video where I said their art looks mentally ill. I cited the people who drew them. I linked their names. Anthony would have rewrote the entire video and claimed I indirectly organized a whole harassment campaign against these people online, and that I'm responsible for everything that followed afterwards, which is precisely why I didn't put them in the video. If me simply being polite and kind to people is enough for you to claim I'm shaming and putting these people on blast, then what does that say about my primary video where I claim their drawings look mentally ill? And as for the thumbnail, yeah, a lot of people did get angry at me at the time, but there were plenty of people who also had sincere objections to the things I said. So I tried to engage with them and they liked it. I personally find it pointless to write out the same response to like 10 different people who are making the same objections. You literally showed me giving examples of people saying identical things. Because again, I'm not attacking people, I'm simply responding to people, and I was extremely kind. This is why you couldn't show any examples of me attacking people. At most, I made one joke calling a person gay because they claimed that the great artists of the past were gay. That was it. Also, remember how he said there's no way to verify who made these drawings? Yeah, he even contradicts himself here too. Because if you pay close attention, many instances throughout the entire video, he claims he did look for the images. He did use reverse image search to fact check the things I said.
I'm very curious why Remnant thinks that this Templar art is right-wing. It's been around for at least 10 years as a meme. Not gonna lie, I actually tried looking to see if he stole and took credit for the Omni-Man art. I can't find any results in reverse image search, so he probably did just sketch it in a book and photograph it.
Why do I bring this up? Well, it clearly shows that Anthony has the ability to fact-check the drawings and see where they came from, just like Harmful Opinions did in about 2 minutes during a live stream. So that really begs the question, why didn't he check the examples I gave for left-wing art in the video? Here's what I think. I think it's reasonable to assume, based off of what we've seen from you, you have reverse image searched them multiple times. And what you found was no evidence to suggest that they were kids. That's what you probably found. Because if you did mention that you looked into the examples I gave, it would reinforce what I said a whole year ago. I feel like that would be bullying. If you only got art explicitly from children, that would just be bullying in my opinion. And that's not the point of this video. I don't doubt that some of these images are made by children, and if so, that's by mistake. But if I saw any indication of age on Twitter of them being a minor, I wouldn't use their art because, again, that would be very disingenuous, and that's not the goal. Because here's the thing, we know you would be the first to jump on that opportunity to call me a liar and accuse me of messing up severely. Yet you couldn't give a single example of this, despite all of this clearly being within your ability to confirm or deny. I wouldn't be shocked if Anthony looked through a couple of them, saw that they were adults or there was no evidence that they were children, and then ignored it because that doesn't support his thesis. Just gotta omit that because it really doesn't support any of the lies he puts out there. So from what I can see, none of this is implausible. This is very likely what happened. Editor's note, I went back to actually check the age of the people who made the drawings, and most of them give an age over 20 years old, while a few of them don't have their age listed. A couple of them, funny enough, that Anthony said looks like they were made by children, or maybe a novice art student who just started drawing, was actually made by a 40-year-old man who's made thousands of drawings that look exactly the same, and his DeviantArt account is over 15 years old. I also just looked into this person's political leanings, and it turns out they're a left-wing Democrat. They hate Trump and they like Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris. Anyways, back to the video. Friendly reminder, Anthony, everything that I'm doing in this video is simply holding you up to your own standards that you've held other people to. Next time, don't be so quick to call everybody you disagree with a liar or insinuate that they're making things up unless you're squeaky clean yourself, which you clearly aren't. To me, all of this is completely fair to say about you. This is simply Anthony from a year ago scrutinizing the present Anthony. And I keep saying this each and every time, but it only gets worse from here for Anthony. Because right after insinuating I'm lying and making things up due to the lack of proper citation, a former friend of his known as OtterlyNoah got exposed for plagiarizing people and falsely copyright striking his critics because he was petty and couldn't take being criticized. And what's funny about all of this is Anthony was actively defending him all the way till the end until OtterlyNoah admitted to everything. When it became undeniable to everybody else, Anthony jumped ship. The reason why I bring this up is because there was an abundant amount of evidence directly shown to Anthony that OtterlyNoah was lying and pointed to the idea that he was plagiarizing people. Yet in spite of all of that evidence, Anthony still defended him. Why is that relevant? He will insinuate people are liars and misrepresenting things with literally no evidence to demonstrate his claims are true. And what about Cianimus? All it takes for Anthony to call you a liar is him misremembering things and then claim that you lied about him and then refuse to show evidence for it. That's enough to call a person a liar and claim that they're misrepresenting you. Whereas for OtterlyNoah, you can have an abundance amount of evidence right in front of your face and he will still ignore it and defend his peers. It is obvious that Anthony is morally bankrupt. And how did Anthony respond to this astronomical f***up? Well, he obviously owned up to his mistakes like a real man and called himself a clown over a dozen times on stream. What a humble individual to admit when he's wrong. Here's the thing though, Anthony. I don't believe you're that stupid. Correction, we don't believe you're that stupid.
As of 3 hours prior to OtterlyNoah's career getting irreparably damaged when he confessed to the strike allegations, I had sent this video right here to Anthony Gramuglia and sent him an example where he ripped this video verbatim. He downloaded Shamu's video, removed Shamu's audio, and replaced it with his own.
Law shelf. It specifically states that, quote, for a statement to be considered defamation.
To be considered defamation, it must be about the plaintiff. Even if the statement does not mention him or her by name, it can be actionable on grounds of defamation.
You follow? Right, so he had an example. There's no citation issue here. This is an example of ripping, shipping, and profiting. So I sent this to Anthony Gramuglia. His response to this was slow down making videos. That was the most important thing he needed to hear. In his rush to produce material, he took shortcuts, and he thought that was a desperation issue. And then I said, dude, I sent you a video of him downplaying someone else's work, ripping the audio out, and replacing that with his own voiceover. This is not a "you're going too fast" meme. He made a conscious decision to steal rather than take his own screenshot, blur it out, add some drop shadow. He did this because he obviously didn't expect to get caught and thought he could get away with it. Now, a couple hours later, Anthony Gramuglia would write, you know, given this newest turn of events, it would appear my trust was misplaced. Yeah, suck a dick, man. All right, you were given every opportunity. You were given time. You were given more time than most. And you could not get to the point before all of this shit went down.
By the way, this isn't just me saying it as a rightoid. Even left-wing individuals who fundamentally don't agree with me at all, like Dickers, will admit this is true.
When Anthony says he didn't spot it because he didn't want to spot it, yeah, I feel like that's pretty true, right? I mean, I'm not seeing a lot in these DMs to paint the picture in my mind that Anthony Gramuglia was overly manipulated by Noah into this being a citation drama. Like, where's the stuff here to say, yeah, just don't download somebody else's video in its entirety and then clip out the portion that you want to nick, yeah? Maybe don't do that. Maybe don't watch somebody else's video, copy the transcript, and then slightly reword their arguments while keeping their footage on screen. Maybe don't do that. Yeah, maybe just do plagiarism detectors. Are you just trying to be, like, intentionally blind to what's going on there? I actually don't know. Now, that might be one to think on. After reading through some of this, I don't think that Ant is giving him advice on how to, like, take accountability after the drama. He's giving him advice on, like, optics, right?
Here's the problem, Anthony. You can't build a channel on the premise that you're qualified to talk about these things, that you're qualified to call out grifters and teach people how to give proper media critique, and then proceed to be one of the last people to find out that Noah's a grifter. And ironically, the way you teach people to give proper media critique is that you claim you have to interpret and understand what the piece of media was trying to achieve. You have to understand and judge what a person is trying to say. It's almost like you're trying to say bad media critique is when you misrepresent a person's position and debunk that instead of what they're trying to get at. Kind of like what you did to me this entire video in the first minute. And right after that, you let one of the most obvious cases of grifting slip right under your nose. And then you act shocked that any of this happened. You admitted everything was right in front of you and you should have known. You are clearly incompetent when it comes to these things, assuming you weren't morally bankrupt and just covering up for him and you knew that he was lying. Who knows though? We have two tough options before us. Are you an idiot or are you a liar? It's really hard to tell, but I wouldn't trust either of them. So that begs the question, why should anybody in your own audience listen to the criticisms you have? Well, believe it or not, guys, it gets worse from here. It actually gets worse from here. You thought that was the lowest point? No, it gets even worse. Even Anthony from a year ago would tell you not to listen to the things the present Anthony has to say. Because guess what? I did a little bit of digging and I found that he actively dismisses and disregards other people's opinions for far less than what happened with OtterlyNoah. I'll show you what I mean. Harmful Opinions made a video reacting to Anthony, and it was hilarious. I found it really funny. And when this was brought to his attention, people said that Anthony should respond to Harmful Opinions. But instead, Anthony decided to blow him off and say that his opinion shouldn't be taken seriously. Why? Because he fumbled up coverage about Mudahar. Mind you, Harmful Opinions quickly corrected his mistakes, and he apologized for it. But according to Anthony, messing up one time about something that is pretty basic gives you the right to dismiss their opinions and say that they shouldn't be taken seriously. You hear that, Harmful Opinions? You messed up one time, and therefore your opinions don't count anymore. Oh wait, you know who else messed up horribly, Anthony? You know who else messed up a whole lot more than Harmful Opinions did that one time? You. Which means Anthony is an extreme hypocrite here. He is blatantly wrong. He's messed up a whole lot more than one time. How many times, though, do you think Anthony has messed up? How many times are we gonna allow him to mess up before we say, nobody should fucking listen to you? You're a clown. I'm just calling you what you call yourself. You're a clown. Why should anybody listen to what you have to say about grifters, about proper media critique, about interpreting a piece of media the way it was intended to be understood? Especially when you mess up so egregiously with covering me, what I had to say, and it was right in front of your face. You had no fucking excuse. This wasn't even improper media critique. like, you just lied about me. All of the evidence is right there. You are a known liar, according to yourself. Nobody should take you seriously. Anthony is a hooligan. I mean, as Anthony would say, there is not a whole lot of meaningful discussion to be had with this clown. That's what Anthony would say. Again, this is just so astonishing. It's brilliant, Anthony. You are like dead on the money 50% of the time. The only problem is the criticisms are always directed at other people, the wrong people. You should instead go in front of a mirror and make a video essay exposing that guy you see, because you are not cut out for this. This is also a good time to go into why I removed the 2 videos in general that he talked about, and also where you can find them. You see, Anthony shares an audience with people like OtterlyNoah, and OtterlyNoah's audience doesn't have a problem when individuals falsely copyright strike those that they disagree with or deem as racist. This was especially true when I was told by Hempleton that there was another YouTuber named Blackish who made a video critiquing Anthony, and that got struck down for harassment 3 days after it was posted, which led to his channel's deletion. Now, to be honest, I don't know much about Blackish, so I'm not going to go out of my way to defend the type of guy. I don't know what type of content he posted, but I do know that the video that was taken down for harassment, the timestamp that was given by YouTube was a green screen crashing into Anthony's forehead. So apparently that's enough to get your channel striked. Did Anthony do this? I don't know. I'm not actively claiming that he did. It could have been him or his audience. We don't have evidence. Either way though, this was my thought process. If anything does happen to these types of videos, I'd rather 1 get struck down instead of possibly 3. I mean, if having a drawing and a thumbnail is enough to get you copyright struck, then yeah, I'm certainly going to be cautious around these people, which is why you can find the videos on Rumble. If you wish to revisit them and see what they're about, be sure to check it out on Rumble. Did you see that? Apparently to Anthony, that is me accusing him of getting Blackish's channel deleted. I know this for a fact because when he made a post claiming that I'm accusing him of getting Blackish's channel deleted, I sent him that clip. The part where I'm explaining why I removed the videos and where you can find them, it's me accusing him of getting Blackish's channel deleted. And what started all of this was me making a community post at the time explaining why I removed the videos. I said exactly what I did in that clip, practically word for word. So I messaged him on Twitter. I said, hey, you're posting false information about me. Here's what I was going to say. I posted the clip and it didn't matter to him, which is funny because apparently me saying we just don't know is making an accusation according to him. This is a very interesting thing of him to claim. What about that time when he said we don't know if my own personal story was true? Was that an accusation?
You see, even assuming this actually happened and isn't made up,
I asked if he was implying I lied right there. It sure sounds like it, but according to him, he wasn't implying anything when he said that. He was simply stating there wasn't evidence to confirm either way. You see what I've been having to deal with before I even released this video? The evidence in your video where you bring up Blackish getting banned and draw a connection to me being involved, while just saying, well, I can't prove he did it, but isn't that odd? Which is not what I said anywhere. And you know he's got a really strong case against me when he has to literally make up what I said and emphasize on words that I never emphasized on. He claimed the difference between these two is that he disproved he had nothing to do with the channel being reported. And just so we're clear when I cover this, I said it before, multiple times, I'll say it again, I'm not saying he did anything. I literally don't think he did. However, showing those 2 emails and your report history definitively proves nothing. You can ask anybody. I mean, you just saying at the end of the day that you didn't do it is just as much proof as you provided in the screenshots. And the problem is, at the end of the day, Anthony, there's literally nothing you can actually show to prove you didn't report him. You had no involvement in it. It would be an infallible accusation. You could never clear your name with this, which is why I didn't say you reported him. I'm not going to accuse you of something that serious when it's infallible and there's no evidence, especially in a video to thousands of people. There is a post he is referencing, and I'll get to that in a minute though. But if he watches this video, I know for certain he's still going to deny everything I said. He's still going to try and convince people that somehow he can prove that he doesn't have any other emails. Trust me guys, it's 100% impossible to fake those screenshots by clearing your internet history and signing out your accounts. Nobody can ever do that. Faking screenshots, who's ever done that too? We totally don't have to just assume he isn't making everything up here. We know for certain he's telling the truth here. This doesn't prove anything. And again, I'll even end with this. I'm not saying you did it, even though I know you're going to be flipping out about this. I'm just showing there's no way to prove it either way. This is why I've gone on record many times to say I'm not accusing you of it. And what's funny is I think he knows this is true because he's smart enough to point out that the recording I posted on X isn't definitive evidence. He said in response to me, you could have just re-recorded before filming, or B, still opens up the door to accusations, which regardless, merits a counter-argument. That is perfectly spot on and reasonable, 100%. I agree with you, Anthony, which is why I tried to reach out to you privately in DMs and to screen share the recordings. I can show you the audio recordings of that file was made on May 15th, and when I offered this to you, you just ignored it. Instead, he responded with, I will hold your final video accountable for whatever you say in it. You choose the rules of the game, do whatever you ultimately feel you must. But don't dish out anything you can't take. Perfectly reasonable, once again. But I responded with, I'd love those terms and would accept, but you are literally holding me accountable for things I never said in the video with this post you made, because he already made claims about my video in this post before I even published it. I even offered to not bring this up in the video if he retracted the post. I tried to be reasonable with him. And in response to this, he said, this is responding to posts you already made multiple times. I don't have to retract anything if you already made the accusations previously. There is no value in retracting anything, nor am I asking you to edit posts that you already made. Anthony, I never said in any of my posts that I would be making a video accusing you of getting a person deleted. He also made it clear in multiple of these comments that he was talking about the video. And for context real quick, what sparked all of this is that I made a community post identical to that 1-minute segment I put in this video for why the videos are down and where you can find them. And in response to this, he said, this is the dumbest thing I've seen somebody do. Remnants is removing the vids I criticized in my video, responding to him out of fear of being DMCA struck, despite the fact that he owns the video and thus cannot be legally DMCA struck. Yeah, because that worked out so great for all the other people who falsely got striked. He just completely ignored what I said. Yeah, obviously, you can't legally be struck, but it doesn't stop you from being struck. By who exactly? Well, probably not you, Anthony, because I fucking clarified I wasn't talking about you. But that didn't stop him from claiming that I was talking about him. He then pinned this comment at the top of his video saying, Remnant has removed the videos and responded to here. He claims this is because I fear I will false DMCA strike them, because I knew a guy who did that. Which I never said. That's fucking bullshit. Literally nowhere did I say that. You're just a fucking liar. You've lied about me for over a month. I literally said your audience multiple times in my posts and in this video. I made it abundantly clear. I said it multiple times. There's no excuse for you to just make up bullshit about me like this. You twist everything I'm saying. I never said that. I also specified what I meant, but it doesn't stop you from taking snippets and statements I say, isolating them by yourself to twist it to fit whatever narrative or lie you want to push about me. And after lie, I made a post saying, didn't stop OtterlyNoah. Again, this shows how blatantly dishonest Anthony is. He also never addressed Blackish's channel being deleted. Anthony has gone on record to say, always say less than needed, so you don't incriminate yourself. Because he only focuses on optics, never truth. That's what his advice to OtterlyNoah was repeatedly. It feels like he's practicing what he preaches in this case. LOL. Now, if you took literally everything I said out of context, and you only focused on that one post, and decided to reply to that with your terrible screenshots, I would be much more understanding. I don't care that the evidence you posted doesn't even prove anything. If you want to do your best to try and dispel any sort of rumors about you, especially if you believe I genuinely think you got Blackish removed, be my guest. But you're lying about me when you claim that I'm going to make this whole long response accusing you of getting Blackish's channel deleted. You thought this would set me back. That's what you were hoping for. I would have only talked about Blackish for maybe 60 seconds at most, in the context of why my videos are gone and where you can find them. Now we had to have this whole long segment dedicated just to the Blackish drama because of you. And the facts that you kept on twisting what I said repeatedly, refusing to engage with any of the things I said, try to work anything out on the side. You ignore any and all evidence that I do provide and that I offer to provide. When you're doing all of that, it makes you look irrational. You look insane. And you know what? I'm glad we had this interaction because it allowed me to fully articulate what exactly you're doing, Anthony. Why my audience literally begged me to make this video on you, which I originally wasn't going to do. It's all because of the implications. This is the last part of the video. You see, when it comes to writing or just even talking to people, there's always a degree of interpretation that goes on, where people try to better understand what it is you meant by the words you said. This is good, it's natural, it's healthy behavior for anybody who genuinely tries to understand somebody. And on our behalf, as writers, as people who are trying to communicate and to try and avoid confusion with those who interpret what we say, we make attempts to clarify our positions and what we mean by going into detail. For me, in my video where I say why left-wing art looks so mentally ill, I clarify my position multiple times to say that I'm not referring to all left-wing art, because in some instances, especially without clarification, people can walk away with the wrong idea that I'm talking about all. That would be a genuine mistake. That's why I clarified numerous times. The problem is, though, you feel at liberty not to be specific whatsoever with your language, and then you get angry and accuse people of lying and misrepresenting what you're saying when they get the wrong interpretation from what you wrote. In your video, Japan, their art, and the culture war, you said a lot of folks love Godzilla right now because it's doing better than Disney, especially those in the culture war, or as you call them, the culture warriors, or the right-wing trolls. But you never specified in your video at all that you were only referencing the quote-unquote culture warriors. You made no effort to clarify that you were strictly talking about them. You did mention them repeatedly, but you never specified that you were only talking about them. And what's worse is when Animus literally quoted you almost word for word, you claimed that he was lying and misrepresenting your position, despite the fact that there's literally no evidence to suggest that he was. I watched the video, Anthony. You never said you're only talking about the people in the culture war. You made it up. And then you get angry at people for having the wrong interpretation to the open-ended things you say. Actually, it wasn't even that open-ended. See, Animus simply quoted you word for word. You're just butthurt that he was able to rebuttal your position. Actually, that's not precisely what I meant word for word. I meant this specific thing that I never clarified. This is, by definition, extremely incompetent writing on your behalf. You pride yourself in the fact that you're a writer, so you can't get angry at people for not reading your mind when you make no clarification on what you specifically meant. And you do this repeatedly. This is a huge problem, especially given you can be as vague as you want, never clarify what you meant, and then accuse people of lying when they interpret what you say the incorrect way. Meanwhile, I can clarify my position repeatedly. I can tell you exactly what I think, and you'll deliberately ignore these clarifications and isolate these individual statements from their context, and then twist them to fit your narrative. You did this to me multiple times. When I made my video about left-wing art, you claim I'm talking about all left-wing art. Doesn't matter how many times I denounce that idea. You'll claim that I'm accusing you of getting Blackish's channel deleted, despite however many times I go on record to say otherwise. Yet you always feel at liberty to claim that people are lying and misrepresenting you when you make no effort to go into detail. Anthony, you do a horrible job at communicating precisely what you mean if this is unintentional. And if it is intentional, this just makes you a snake. You're avoiding any and all confrontation and accountability for the claims you make. That's what's happening. This is why you're incredibly disliked by so many people, Anthony. And that is the end of my video. This took me quite a while, but it wasn't that bad because at the end, I had a similar conclusion before we had this conversation, before he made those posts where he crashed out. But this just helped me to articulate it even better. I think it was a really fun video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you really did, be sure to share it around. It really helps the channel. And also, thank you so much to everybody who's been supporting me on Patreon as I make this video. You really help me out so much. Thank you guys. It really helps to give me peace of mind, especially when I make these long projects. They're pretty risky. And as always, I hope you have a good one.